Hey guys, here we are again. And when we left off with Wonder yesterday, we had talked about how Via was kind of wanting to grow up on her own now and kind of wanting to ride the bus or the subway by herself, and Dad is agreeing with her and Mom is not happy about this, but she's just wanting to be her own person away from the rest of them, and that's kind of hard for parents to accept because we want to keep you all little forever. You're our little babies. So today we're going to start on page 103, and it's called Genetics 101. Said both sides of Dad's family were Jews from Russia and Poland. Papa's grandparents fled the pogroms and ended up in New York City at the turn of the century. Tata's parents fled the Nazis and ended up in Argentina in the 40s. Papa and Tata met at a dance on the Lower East Side while she was in town visiting a cousin. They got married, moved to Bayside, and had Dad and Uncle Ben. Now, Mom's side of the family is from Brazil, except for her mother, my beautiful grands, and her dad, Augusto, who died before I was born. The rest of Mom's family, all her glamorous aunts, uncles, and cousins, still live in Alto Leblon, a ritzy suburb south of Rio. Grands and Augusto moved to Boston in the early 60s and had Mom and Aunt Kate, who's married to Uncle Porter. Now, Mom and Dad met at Brown University and have been together ever since. Isabel and Nate, like two peas in a pod. They moved to New York right after college, had me a few years later, then moved to a brick townhouse in North River Heights, the hippie stroller capital of upper Manhattan, when I was about a year old. Not one person in the exotic mix of my family gene pool has ever shown any obvious signs of having what August has. Because a lot of times when we have things wrong with us, they think that it came from the genetic factor in our family, that we might have got it from our mother or our father or grandparents or whatever. They think that it's passed on. So they were trying to look to see if someone in the family had what Augie had, but apparently they didn't. I've pored over grainy sepia pictures of long dead relatives in babushkas, black and white snapshots of distant cousins in crisp white linen suits, soldiers in uniforms, ladies with beehive hairdos, because they used to wear them so high up on their head, Polaroids of bell-bottom teenagers and long-haired hippies, and not once have I been able to detect even the slightest trace of August's face in their faces. Not a one. But after August was born, my parents underwent genetic counseling. They were told that August had what seemed to be a previously unknown type of mandibulofacial dyssytosis caused by an autosomal recessive mutation in the TCOF1 gene, which is located on chromosome 5, complicated by hemifacial microsomia characteristic of OAV spectrum. Now, if I got any of those words wrong, you're just going to have to deal with it because Ms. Lloyd doesn't teach all this science stuff, and I don't know some of these words. But I tried my best. Sometimes they're inherited from one parent carrying the dominant gene. Sometimes these mutations occur during pregnancy. Sometimes they're caused by the interaction of many genes, possibly in combination with the environmental factors. This is called multifactorial inheritance. In August's case, the doctors were able to identify one of the single nucleotide deletion mutations that's made war on his face. The weird thing is, though you'd never know it from looking at them, both of my parents carry that same mutant gene, and I carry it too. So they had the gene within them. The parents did, and Via did, but Augie was the one that the gene mixed in with others, and it caused the deformities that he now has. Now, the next one is called the Punnett square on page 105. If I have children, there's a 1 in 2 chance that I will pass on the defective gene to them. That means if she has the gene and she has children, she could possibly, 50-50 chance, that she could pass that gene on to her children. Now, that doesn't mean that they'll look like August, but they'll carry the gene that got double dosed in August. That means that one gene that they have, August got 2 of them, which is what caused his deformities and all that, and helped make him the way he is. If I marry someone who has the same defective gene, there's a 1 in 2 chance that our kids will carry the gene and look totally normal, a 1 in 4 chance that our kids will not carry the gene at all, and a 1 in 4 chance that our kids will look like August. If August has children with someone who doesn't have a trace of the gene, there's a 100% probability that their kids will inherit the gene, but a 0% chance that their kids will have a double dose of it, like August, which means they'll carry the gene no matter what, but they could totally look normal. If he marries someone who has the gene, their kid will have the same odds as my kids. Now, this only explains the part of August that's explainable. There's the other part of his genetic makeup that's not inherited, but just incredibly bad luck. Some things scientists just can't explain. They just happen. Countless doctors have drawn little tic-tac-toe grids for my parents over the years to try to explain the genetic lottery to them. Geneticists use the Punnett squares to determine inheritance, recessive and dominant genes, probabilities, and chance. Now, you all know about probabilities and chances. You've learned that in math. What's the probability that I can roll a 7 5 times in a row? What are the chances of that? But for all they know, there's more they don't know. They can try to forecast the odds, but they can't guarantee them. They use terms like germline mosaicism, chromosome rearrangement, and delayed mutation to explain why their science is not an exact science. Because sometimes it's not exact. Sometimes we're just guessing and working towards things in the science field. Sometimes we haven't figured it all out yet. I actually like how doctors talk. I like the sound of science. I like the words you don't understand, how the words you don't understand explains things that you can't understand. There are countless people under words like germline mosaicism, chromosome rearrangement, or delayed mutation. Countless babies who will never be born like my brother. Now, that ends that one, and that was a tough chapter because it's a lot of words we don't really know. But in the end, all it's saying is the chances that any of their children will end up like this are very unlikely. But they carry the gene that it could happen, so there is the chance. And they didn't even know that Mom and Dad and Via had this gene up until they did all the testing after Augie was born. They did this testing and they found out, oh, Mom and Dad have this, and Via has this gene that was passed down to Augie. And somehow Augie got 2 of those genes. Now, that doesn't mean that Augie's kids will ever end up like that or anything else. And there's other things that they still can't explain about Augie. That's just part of what they know. There's still a lot of things they have no clue why he is the way he is. But they're trying to figure it out. Just like this coronavirus, we're not even sure how to cure all this, and doctors and scientists are working every day to try to come up with a cure for it, to help take care of this problem. Hopefully they'll get it done real soon and we can get back to school, because I sure miss you all. So I'll talk to you tomorrow for the next 2 chapters.